Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. 15 female, turning 16 in a few weeks. My mom died when I was 10. At the time she was diagnosed with terminal cancer, my dad was already cheating with his mistress, Linda. Linda was a childhood friend of my mom. I found out and my dad and Linda asked me to keep it a secret so that my mom can die in peace. I didn't know what to do, so I told my grandmother what happened, and she told my mom. They got separated before my mom passed away. My dad married Linda 9 months later. I'm not at peace with what they did and have not forgiven them. Linda and I constantly clash, and we don't get along. Things are not that much better between me and my dad either. I usually spend Mother's Day with my grandmother, but this year my dad insisted that I need to join their celebration with Linda to show respect to our family. I didn't want to go, as that's between Linda and her children. She has 2 from her ex. She's not my mother. Anyway, my dad did not allow me to go see my grandmother this year, and I wanted to stay home, but he didn't let me and forced me to go with them. Linda's parents were there too. I was very frustrated being forced to go. I also don't get along with Linda's children, so wasn't keen to spend even more time with them. The first thing that didn't go as planned was the food. Linda, her children and parents are all vegan. My dad and I are not. I don't usually mind eating vegan food though. The restaurant was German, but quite vegan friendly, with half the menu being vegan. However, I decided to order a Schweinshax. My dad told me no, as it's disrespectful, and reminded me that today is for Linda and her mom, who are vegans. We shouldn't bring meat to the table. This is Linda's problem, as she believes it's bad manners to eat meat at a vegan table, whatever that means. I said they don't have to eat it, and repeated my order to the waitress alongside a Black Forest ham appetizer. My dad wanted to intervene, but Linda's father told my dad to let me get whatever I want, so he backed down. We had food which I can say made Linda and my dad a little uncomfortable, with me having a lot of meat in front of me. Second thing was my dad's letter for Linda, which he read out loud. It was complete BS, as he said Linda's been a good mother for me, which is the joke of the century. When everyone raised a glass for Linda, I didn't. My dad asked me why I didn't, and if I wanted to say something. I wasn't planning to, but he put me in that position, so I raised my glass and said Happy Homewreckers Day, and said it's very motherly to tell a 10-year-old to lie to her dying mother about your affair with her dad. My dad shouted enough and told me to get out of here. I said, first good thing you've said all day, and left. Turned out Linda's parents didn't know about the affair, so I've outed them, and now her children are accusing me of ruining Mother's Day and causing problems in their family. My dad is beyond mad at me, and I'm grounded indefinitely. Not the a-hole. 1. You were clear with your father that you did not want to attend. 2. They tried to push their vegan diet on you. That's not cool. 3. Your dad pushed you to say something. Basically, your dad was non-stop antagonizing you, and I'm not surprised you snapped. I raised my glass and said Happy Homewreckers Day, and said it's very motherly to tell a 10-year-old to lie to her dying mother about your affair with her dad. You know what? If you're going to lose your cool, do it in style. I'd high-five you for this. They chose to behave a certain way. You don't have to keep this a secret. Not the a-hole, and honestly, good for you. They don't get to force you to engage in a relationship on their terms, especially when those terms are built on lies. I hope you have a supportive group of friends and other relatives. If I were you, I'd be no contact on my 18th birthday. Not the a-hole. Good for you. It needed saying. You were right to refuse to pretend to be part of their insane, disgusting, selfish, cruel fantasy family. They are awful people for what they did, and even more awful for trying to force you to accept it. I hope you manage to get away from them the moment you turn 18, but the next 3 years will be tough unless you can spend a lot of time with your grandparents. My sister-in-law has a variety of health conditions that makes it so that it's risky to get pregnant. Basically, she was told 2 years ago that she can but would automatically be high risk. My sister-in-law has always been one of those people that's aggressively child-free and hates children, even before she got this news. She enjoys being a dog mom and frequently makes comments about how they ruin your life, etc. I would think it was a coping mechanism if she hadn't been this way literally the entire time I've known her. since we were in high school. She also loves to be the center of attention. Anytime me and my husband have something exciting happen, she has to change the conversation to be about her. She especially cannot handle when mother-in-law gives my husband more attention than her. At various happy moments in our lives, she has done this, including when we got married, bought our home, and when my husband landed his dream job. She either runs out crying because she's sad it's not her, or brags about how she's so much better, has a better house, job, etc. Well, my husband and I are expecting our first after 2 years of trying and 2 losses. It's been hard, and this is the first grandchild on both sides, so people are extra excited. I want to say that I make it a point to not talk about the baby in my pregnancy a lot, because it gives me anxiety after the losses. So it's not the topic of every conversation. We had a dinner when I was 3 months and told everyone, and that was basically it until this weekend. I'm almost 5 months. We were out shopping after having dinner. It was my in-laws, sister-in-law, brother-in-law, me and my husband. Mother-in-law saw a baby store and wanted to go in. After about 5 minutes, my sister-in-law ran out sobbing. Understandably, mother-in-law ran after her, and so did brother-in-law. Father-in-law suggested we keep looking and give them a minute, so we did. Brother-in-law came back in and said something about her being sad she can't ever have a baby. I looked at my husband and gave him a look. Brother-in-law noticed and asked me about it. I looked at him and pretty frankly said, "She's not sad she can't have a baby. She has never wanted a baby and has been very clear about that. She's sad husband is getting more attention than her right now." Basically, brother-in-law and father-in-law think I am a terrible human being for being insensitive about her infertility. My husband agrees with me that this was an attention-seeking stunt and nothing more, but says they will never see it that way, and he wishes I hadn't said anything. I told him I was tired of her always doing this, that this was huge for me, because I have always wanted to be a mom, more than anything, and we suffered so much to get to this point. I was not letting her make this about her. I thought I was crazy and started to feel like I was an a-hole, and maybe it was hormones. Until sister-in-law posted on IG a picture of ovulation test she ordered on Amazon this morning with the caption, "Excited for this new journey." Edited to add, because it wouldn't fit in the original post. I don't believe this is a genuine change because only a month or 2 ago, when we announced the pregnancy, she made comments that I was ruining my career. I'm an attorney, and don't expect her to babysit it. Not the a-hole. Your husband's family have encouraged and enabled her bad behavior her whole life. They're not likely to stop now. That doesn't make you an a-hole to call her out on it. But don't expect any of them to change what they've allowed to happen. The most disappointing thing, of course, is your husband, who wants you to hold your tongue so that things are easier with his family. Not the a-hole. OP clearly stated that every milestone they've had, sister-in-law has ruined with her teary performances. What made this one any different? Because OP is pregnant and sister-in-law is not, and has vocalized many times she did not want kids. So, all of a sudden she's changed her mind, according to some commenters on here. That doesn't make it okay to be a holy terror and ruin the pregnancy experience for OP. She's ruined their other milestone moments. OP had a right to say what she did. I don't get why you're so concerned about her or what she does. I know she's annoying, but it's not so important that you should be upset. When she pulls these stunts, just think, well, that's Julie, or whatever, being Julie. Roll your eyes and on to the next thing. Concentrate on being excited about your baby. Who cares about who gets the most attention? Not the a-hole, but I'd let it go. She must be a sad and insecure person. I, 28 female, have a younger sister, 25 female, who is getting married next month. She has always been spoiled by our parents and expects everyone to cater to her whims. She is also very materialistic and loves to show off her expensive things. She asked me to be her maid of honor, which I agreed to, even though we are not very close. I thought it would be a nice gesture and a way to bond with her. However, she has been a nightmare ever since. She has made me do all the planning and organizing for her bridal shower, bachelorette party, and wedding day. She has also been demanding and rude to me and the other bridesmaids. She has criticized our outfits, hairstyles, makeup, and accessories. She has also made us pay for everything, from the invitations to the decorations to the food and drinks. The final straw was when she asked me to pay for her wedding dress. She has already picked out a dress that cost $10,000, which was way over her budget. She said she fell in love with it and had to have it. She asked our parents to pay for it, but they refused. They said they had already given her enough money for the wedding and that she should stick to her budget. She then asked me to pay for it, saying that I owed her for being such a bad sister all these years. She said that I had always been jealous of her and that I should be happy for her for once. She also said that I had a good job and could afford it. I was shocked and angry. I told her that I was not going to pay for her dress and that she was being unreasonable and entitled. I said that she should be grateful for what she had and that she should find a dress that fit her budget. I also said that I was done with being her maid of honor and that I was not going to attend her wedding. She threw a tantrum and called me a selfish bee. She said that I had ruined her wedding and that she hated me. She also said that she would never forgive me and that I was no longer her sister. Our parents sided with me and told her to apologize to me. They also said that they were disappointed in her behavior and that she should grow up. However, she refused to apologize and said that they were all against her. She has since blocked me on all social media platforms and cut off all contact with me. Some of our relatives and mutual friends have also reached out to me and told me that I was being too harsh on her and that I should have paid for her dress. They said that it was just a dress and that it was not worth losing a sister over. They also said that I was ruining her special day and that I should be supportive of her. I don't think I did anything wrong, but now I'm starting to doubt myself. Am I the a-hole? You didn't do anything wrong. Your parents screwed up big time in raising your sister, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. I don't even know why you all paid for things in her wedding in the first place. That's the husband's or wife's family's job, not the bridesmaid's. She sounds like a brat. Not the a-hole, most definitely. Regardless of how much the dress cost, $10 or $10,000, you are not the a-hole for not buying it for her. You don't owe her anything. But she is definitely entitled to think that you would spend any money on her wedding dress, especially $10,000. Guess we know why she asked you to be her maid of honor. About 7 years ago, my wife's best friend and her husband split, and it looked like they were headed for divorce. Around the same time, my wife, then girlfriend, and I split. I think it is worth pointing out that my wife was the one who called it quits. When we split, we were officially broken up. This was not just a break. I did not see any chance for us and figured our relationship was done. So when my wife's best friend showed interest, I decided to sleep with her. We were never serious. It was purely physical. This went on for a few months, and then she broke things off with me because she and her husband had decided to give things another shot. It was not long after they reconciled that she announced they were expecting. She never reached out to me to confirm either way if it could be mine, so I assumed it was her husband's. I didn't know she had been sleeping with him while we were together, but I suspected that there were some other guys she was also sleeping with based on some of her behaviors. About a year after all this happened, my wife and I started seeing each other again. We dated for a while and then decided to get married. I never told my wife about my relationship with her best friend because we were broken up at the time and I wanted to have a clean start. Everything was fine until her best friend and her husband started to have problems a year ago. They've been going through a nasty divorce. At some point, her husband decided he wanted a paternity test and discovered that his daughter is not his biologically. The best friend then admitted she was mostly sure it was mine. The husband then contacted my wife and told her what her friend had said. Since then, I've been dealing with the fallout. My wife thinks I was an a-hole for not mentioning what happened between us, but I never had any reason to suspect it could be my daughter until now. I don't think it would have made sense to tell her about something that I thought was low probability. It seems crazy to me to hold this against me when I never suspected anything. Am I the a-hole for not telling her when I honestly did not believe the child was mine? Edit. Just to note that we did agree when we got back together that we weren't going to discuss who we slept with. I think that is a crucial detail that I left out, and I've never asked her either. You're the a-hole. It's not unreasonable to think it would be best to disclose this to your wife once you got back together. You also said you had no reason to suspect the child was yours, which I find laughable. You're the a-hole. If it was some random woman you messed around with when you weren't with your wife, there wouldn't be much of a reason to tell her. But her best friend? I think you are using that term loosely, because my best friend would never not tell me she thinks her child may be my husband's. That's actually ridiculous. You both didn't tell her if they are still friends. I would 100% leave my husband over this and never talk to the best friend again. You're the a-hole. So much so that my mind broke. You were dishonest about something incredibly crucial, and although you said you had no reason to believe the child was yours, I call BS. Any S with another woman always runs risk of pregnancy. You'd have to live under a rock not to know that. This was key information she deserved to have before you reconciled. Information that could make or break your relationship. You knew it was bad, so you kept it a secret. Your wife had a right to hear the truth and decide whether or not she wanted to stay with you. You've wasted her time and you've betrayed her. If you refuse to see that, there's no redemption for you. I hurt for your wife, and I hope she leaves you. My ex, 27 female, and I, 28 male, split up 4 months ago when I found out she was cheating on me. She refused to get a paternity test done, so I have to wait until the baby is born to find out if I'm the father. I had already spent all that time believing I was about to be a father, only to find out I might not. Ex doesn't have any other family except her mom, but it's not safe for her to travel due to virus, and mostly all of our friends cut contact with her after they found out why we broke up. She's due in a few weeks, and I specifically told her not to contact me until after the baby is born, so we can get a paternity test done. But she's been blowing up my phone asking me to be there in the delivery room with her because she won't have anyone else's support. I thought about it, and in the end, the baby possibly isn't mine. I can't put myself through that emotional experience, witnessing the birth just to find out I'm not the father. So that's what I told her, and she didn't take it well at all. She's called me a jerk because if it turns out the baby is mine, then I would have just missed the birth of my own child. But there will be so many more important milestones I'll get to witness if I'm this baby's father, so it wouldn't hurt to miss this one. Of course, she goes to my mom about this, asking her to convince me to change my mind because she doesn't want to be alone. My mom absolutely hates her right now, but because this baby could be mine, she thinks I need to do this. It doesn't feel fair having to support her after what she did. I'm committed to being there for my child and doing everything I can to support them if I'm the father. But until then, I want to keep my distance to avoid being hurt more. But to them, I'm being too heartless by not wanting to be there when she's going to go through this alone. So, I don't know. Am I being an a-hole for standing firm on not being in the delivery room? Not the a-hole. You not knowing is 100% in her control. Prenatal DNA tests are low risk. She doesn't want you to know so she can continue to manipulate you. Your responsibility is to your potential child, not to her. Your child gains or loses nothing from you being or not being there if they turn out to be yours. Get the paternity test after the child is born, and don't sign anything before then. Not the a-hole. Tell your ex she should get support from the guy she cheated with. Not the a-hole. If she wants you there, she can get that prenatal blood test.